Hello and welcome to episode 1441 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, August 8th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning.
Good morning. How we doing?
Not too bad. I'm in that panic mode of it being early August, meaning football is here, and it feels like the season is over tomorrow. And I know it's not. I know we got 2 full months of regular season and then a great playoff October. So, we have 3 months left of like hardcore baseball. We'll cap it off by going to Arizona, of course. But it feels like it's over, which, again, I know is a stupid feeling, but I talk about it every year right around this time, late July, early August. I'm like, oh, the season's over. What a bummer. And it's because football comes back into the picture, which, by the way, I don't even hate football.
Well, the Lions are good now.
So, right. Yeah. So I have more reason to and my horns. So, college and pro popping off for football, but it's just baseball number one all the time. And I don't want to, I don't want to feel like the season is nearing its end. How you doing?
Yeah, it's funny you kind of bring that up because last night I was just kind of looking at my teams and kind of figure out, okay, which ones actually have a legitimate shot of winning, which ones have a legitimate shot of cashing, and which ones are dead. Like, there's going to be a few for me this year, at least, where I dug myself an early hole and it seems unlikely I'm going to, make it into the kind of a cashing spot. And, I'm the type of person I just want to play it out.
Right.
So
I can't give up on things.
Yeah. I'm not going to not do fab or set my lineups and stuff like that. But, I can look at my main event and go, it took a lot to get out of the hole I dug in the first month of the season. I may get to 5th or 4th, but it seems pretty unlikely at this point that I'm going to bridge the, 40-point gap I still have with 3rd place. So,
right.
I'm going to try my best to see what happens, but, I can really start, looking at a couple of my teams where I go, okay, this team has a shot to win an overall.
And then put more time into that. Like you do have to start, especially if you're a multi-leaguer and a mini multi-leaguer like Justin, you do have to start making decisions of like, okay, and we always say about don't quit too early. It's August now. You can have some real conversations about where your team's at.
Yeah, make sure you sit down and actually do the math on it, because I think sometimes people are like, oh no, like I'm in 7th place, I'm not gonna win, or I'm not gonna get to 3rd. And they don't really do the math on it. Like
anyone in 7th can cash. Yeah, assuming your league pays top 3. Like I feel pretty confident that the vast majority, I won't say anyone because you never know how a league could break down. The vast majority of people in 7th, if your league pays top 3, they can absolutely still cash.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a team that is, and it's one of my big money kind of auction teams that like in the last week I've like bounced from 1st to 4th. With like 10-point swings and stuff like that. So like there's still a lot of movement, especially in the ratio categories. I think some people think, oh, ratios are locked. They are
and
not
that's
locked.
One that we hit on a lot. I think Todd Zoll was the first one to really put me on that years ago, where he really started breaking down the numbers. And you really have to understand, and we harp on that a lot because I think most people don't realize that still.
Oh,
that the ratios are going to move all the way till the end.
I just brought up that team, and I've gained 8.5 points in a week.
There you go.
This week. So it's not even a full week. So like
that's the thing too, is we think because we're in August, standings aren't going to move that much. And it really just depends, right? There will be some standings. By the way, I'm cleaning up something right now. I had a Red Bull that I had in the freezer, and apparently like it wasn't frozen all the way, but it was at this point where it was erupting. And I didn't even realize it was going everywhere on here. So I'm trying to clean that off while having this conversation with you. And this mouse might be ruined. It's all right. It was just a piece of shit backup mouse. Anyway, keep grinding, but also be honest. Again, multi-leaguers, you might need to make some tough decisions. And you can start punting now too. If like you're part of an overall contest, like let's say you're in the main event, and it's very clear that you're not going to win the overall or come close, you can start punting and try to get your cash spot, right? Like I've had steals problems all year. My teams were slow across the board. It was a fundamental problem with my teams, and my team construction this year was not getting enough steals. In a couple of those leagues, I'm like, okay, I got to punt and try to get as much offense, power offense and pitching as I can because the steals aren't happening. So let's get people ready for some pitching, because a lot of times chasing pitching down the stretch feels easier. I guess it depends on your league size, because in 15s, I don't find that easy. But in 10s and 12s, where there still are names out there, I could see it being an easier endeavor down the stretch to chase pitching. So let's get into the two-step starts this week. We've got some really interesting names, a couple check-ins, and a big returner. Now, I don't know how good he's going to be off the top, but he could be a lot of fun. A guy we have not talked about in quite some time. This is not that guy, but let's talk about somebody we haven't talked about in forever. Anthony DeSclafani is back in the mix here with Arizona. And he's doing a few interesting things. Now, I'm not running out to get him, and I'm probably not even going to tell you guys to even look at him as a start. He's going to Texas and to Colorado. Going to Texas is great from a venue standpoint, but they're playing a lot better lately, so that's not even a great one. And then a trip to Colorado, even when they're the Rockies, when you're Anthony DeSclafani, who had an entire year off, I still have some concern. But he has a 4.20 ERA, 1.20 WHIP. Those aren't bad ratios. 15% strikeout minus walk. Is there anything here with DeSclafani, either in a one-start situation this week or down the road? You finding any vibes on DeSclafani? Tony Disco, as we like to call him.
I don't think so. Not until he can show that he can go 5 innings, because you don't get
now the middle of this is frozen. What the hell is going on? I'm sorry. I don't understand what the hell is going on. Anyway, DeSclafani can't go 5. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the middle of Anthony DeSclafani is frozen as well. So he's a 35-year-old pitcher who doesn't really get a ton of strikeouts. He's got a homer problem, and he's not going to go 5. So I just, like I said, Texas playing better. Colorado is still a tough place to pitch. And I don't think there is enough juice to squeeze on Tony Disco for this one. He's a guy to watch for deeper leagues. If he does go 5 in one of these outings, then maybe you pick him up as a streaming target. But I think for this week alone, I just don't know that he really warrants that much of a discussion.
Yeah, if someone jumps DeSclafani this week because they want to get him early, let him. Yeah. Right? That's where I'm at too. But if he goes out, acquits himself decently, I could see coming back around next week for Tony DeSclafani, perhaps. Jeffrey Springs is going to be facing Tampa Bay and LA both at home. Now, I get my names mixed up out there because a lot of the Athletics pitchers kind of jumbled together, but I want to say Springs is one of the ones who's kind of figured out that home venue. Yeah, to the point where his ERA split is a little bit worse at home, 3.99 to 3.80, but the WHIP is substantially better, 109 at home, 115 on the road. And the 115 road mark is pretty good still. So has Springs figured out Sacramento's park enough that you feel comfortable running him for a two-step, both at home, Tampa Bay, Angels, Jeffrey Springs?
It's risky because, I'm, as much as I love Springs, and if you listen to the show at all this year, you knew I was a big fan of Jeffrey Springs coming back.
One of your highest rostered guys, right?
I think my highest rostered pitcher this year,
yeah.
or at least one of them. Probably Schwellenbach was the number one.
Oh,
but that just made me sad. Anyways, it just is a risky venue. I know he's pitched well there, but it's just a really risky spot, and things are actually heating up. We had 100-degree day yesterday in Sacramento. It's supposed to
be 3 extra months, right? Yeah. You've been talking all year about how it just hasn't been hot.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be mid-90s at high in our to low hundreds, all weekend. So it's gonna be warm here, and I just don't know. I'm very, very kind of tentative. I think it really depends on your other options. I'm not doing it in 10. I could do it in a 12, depending on what my other options are. And then 15s, you're rolling with it and just hoping for the best, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with Springs too. I think 15s has just been too good to really bench. And then I am looking for outs elsewhere just because the blow-up potential is huge still, or bigger. I won't say huge. Again, he's pitched really well this year. Jeffrey Springs has,
but the lack of strikeouts makes it difficult to really take the gamble in shallower leagues.
Right, because if the ratios are mediocre, you don't have the strikeout protection. You don't have great win upside. Although I will point out he's won 4 of his last 5. So that's nice.
True.
But just be careful here. If you can find other avenues out of Springs in 10s and 12s, do so.
Mhm.
What about Dean Kramer? He's got Seattle and then a trip to Houston. So he gets the top of the NL or the AL West, excuse me. He's put together some decent things this year. Dean Kramer has, add it all up. It's still Dean Kramer-y, 4.35 ERA, 128 WHIP, kind of in line with what he did last year. But you got to have a lot of good starts to get to that level. Anything here with Dean Kramer that gets you excited? I'm going to imagine no.
For the first half of it, yes, because Dean Kramer has been an ace at home.
Okay, so he's running a home road situation.
56 innings at home, he has a 2.89 ERA, 76 away innings, it's a 5.42. The problem is you've got a split week, and the away is at Houston.
Yep.
I don't think I'm doing this, but if you are in a daily moves league, daily lineups league, I think you can use Dean Kramer at home and just hope to God that Seattle doesn't get him. But he's been really, really good at Camden. Where actually they don't call that a Camden anymore, do they?
Oriole Park at Camden Yards, I believe, is the full term.
So he's just got a homer problem, and the home park protects him. It does not protect him on the road. So I think that he will absolutely get destroyed. Like, he's someone I would stream against for the Houston one, like stream hitters against Dean Kramer for sure. But
yeah,
I don't think I can use him for that Houston start. So if you have to play both, don't do it.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm at. If you got to play both, I can't get there for Dean Kramer. That Houston start is terrifying. So, yep, go for it in one start. Get that first one against Seattle. But anything else, no. Cade Horton's going to Toronto, which in and of itself might be disqualifying, but he gets Pittsburgh at the end, and this is our classic. The juice is at the end. How do you feel about it? Because you have to go through hell to get there with Cade Horton.
Yeah, this one's pretty tough for me. For Horton, you get that Toronto game, and then you might not even actually get the back half of it.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you take on the Toronto start with Cade Horton, and then they move something around to where you don't even get the Pittsburgh start?
The problem is he's been really good. He's got 4 straight outings, scoreless outings.
I wouldn't say that's a problem. No, I know what you mean. I'm teasing you.
Yeah, no, I mean, just how do you not use him when he's been pitching as well as he has been?
Right.
I think it's risky, but I think in 15s you got to do it. I think you probably have to do it in 12s, and I think some 10s. We're going to look at the rest of this list and go, I think I'd rather have Cade Horton than a few of the other names that we're going to talk about today. So,
because at the very least, you could chase wins.
Yeah,
because the Cubs rule, right? So
the
even against Toronto,
the lack of strikeouts again makes it riskier.
Yes, and so you really need that win to cash in with Cade Horton, because while he is an exciting, interesting young arm, to Justin's point, Ks are not very good. 18% is actually quite bad for Cade Horton. As he kind of figures himself out, I think he has strikeout upside for the future. But this year it's really been solid ERA, decent whip, and then win potential to go with the modest case. But yeah, I'm with you. 15s, slam dunk. 12s, pretty close to slam dunk. And even 10s, I think it's on the table with Cade Horton. Anything for lefty Logan Allen. He gets Miami and Atlanta coming to Cleveland to visit him. By the way, they're playing like sneaky decent ball, kind of still hanging around.
Oh, finally. Unreal.
I like, where were they when they had all their players? And
yeah,
I mean, I'm glad, obviously, as a Tigers fan, I don't want competition, but I am surprised that they're finally starting to play like decent ball when things are kind of collapsing around them. I think they're like 6-1 in their last 7. But anyway, Logan Allen, a guy I've liked in the past, but the 4.04 ERA this year, pretty good. But a 137 whip, and again, a guy who has no Ks, 87 and 114 innings. Can you find any reason to go for Logan Allen?
Miami's been like one of the hottest teams in baseball.
That was the next thing I was going to say, was even the one that you would say is good is no longer good. Actually, it's reversed. The Atlanta one's probably the better of the two.
I mean, yeah, it's this is a little bit difficult, but I will say that Miami, while they have been good this year, or better than I think we expected this year, they haven't been really good against lefties.
Okay, that's worth pointing out. So then they've been doing a lot of their good work against righties.
And then Atlanta has been kind of middle of the pack against left-handed pitching. So like this isn't a terrible opportunity for Logan Allen. I think it really just comes down to what does your whip situation look like?
Right.
Like if can you take a whip bludgeoning, because that is potentially on the table here, especially considering you aren't going to get very many strikeouts.
Yep.
So I think for me, it's a matter of like, where's your team at? If you can with wow, I can't talk this early in the morning. If you can handle a whip, beat up, then I think I'm rolling with this one and seeing if I can get a couple dubs here. But if you can't, if your whip is in any sort of peril, or if you're trying to make up ground in whip right now, I probably am not starting Logan Allen anywhere.
Yeah, I think if whip is at all a chase, you can't do it. By the way, sorry if I burped into the microphone. There was one of those that jumped out of my throat.
We're just having a rough morning.
I know you can't talk. I'm burping like a pig. It's crazy. But yeah, Logan Allen, I've even been a fan in the past, hoping that he could develop, and he's had a decent year, but there's been no real development. He's still a whip.
He's been
problem.
A decent streamer this year.
Yeah,
right? He's not a guy that you
good MLB guy.
Yeah,
like Cleveland's happy with what they're getting. Deeper fantasy leagues have had some streaming opportunities. It's just risky. Jonathan Cannon's going to get Detroit and then a trip to Kansas City for the White Sox here. They're playing a bit better of late too, where they're not completely the most embarrassing team in the world. Still a bad team, still a team that you can go against. Is Jonathan Cannon doing anything there? I know Burke, Shane Smith, and Hauser, before he was traded, now Savali, have generated some interest. But Cannon, is he getting anywhere with you? 5.34 ERA, 145 WHIP.
I mean, he's just been absolutely brutal his last three starts. Over the course of Jonathan Cannon's last three starts, he has a 13.50 ERA.
Oh my God! Oh, so he was having a pretty decent season then.
He was having a great little season. You know, I mean, obviously he missed some time, but he's just been absolutely destroyed over the course of the last three starts. He's been up at least 5 earned runs.
18 earned.
18 earned in just 12 innings. 13 strikeouts in those 12 innings. So the strikeout rate's been pretty decent, but everything else has just been an absolute disaster. And, for those who are like, well, he has to be better. I mean, yeah, but his FIP has been 919.
That's crazy.
Like, you can't play him anywhere. Like, AL only shouldn't be playing Jonathan Cannon this week. Like, I think he is an interesting pitcher. I don't think he's ever going to be a star or anything like that, but I think Jonathan Cannon will be one of those guys that has like a 7-8 year career as just an innings eater type dude. And he's on kind of the perfect team where they're like, a couple starts ago, he was getting beat up, but they're like, hey, just keep pitching. We need the innings like that. That's what Jonathan Cannon's going to be, but not for your fantasy team.
No. And I tend to agree there that Chicago should stick with him as long as he's healthy, try to work through those 3 bad outings. But for fantasy folks, we can't take that risk. If he's still 25. In this rut, he's 25. They need to pile up innings. But for us, it's a wait and see.
I know we keep saying it, but the White Sox are on the right track. They
really are.
I got a good buddy who's a White Sox fan. And he's oh, it's so hard to even watch baseball. It's like, the White Sox are doing things the right way. I know it sucks, and it's going to suck for a while longer, but they're making headway in terms of going in the right direction.
I think the second half could actually be enjoyable to watch too. Outside of Talkman and Benny, who are the leaders, and they did come out and say that we're keeping these leaders around. We're not trying to trade everyone who's old because we want some guys to usher these youngsters. But outside of those two, they got a really young lineup. Manine Sosa's 25, Colson Montgomery's 23, Curtis Mead is 25. Edgar Carroll's 22, Kyle Teal's 23, Brooks Baldwin's 25, and even Luis Robert, obviously been around for a while, is only 28. So they are doing things the right way. And I think they're going to be a force as early as 27. I think next year they make a little noise, start pushing maybe around 70-something, maybe 500. And then 27, I think the White Sox could be something. Let's go to my Tigers. Flaherty and Paddock are going to face those White Sox in Chicago, and then they're going to go to Minnesota. So a big road trip coming up for the Tigers in division. Let's start with Flaherty. He frustrates me to no end. Now, we're big strikeout to walk guys. That is, just a great foundational stat that will lead you in the right direction. 9 out of 10 times. Sometimes you get a guy like this, though, where Jack Flaherty has a 20% strikeout minus walk. That is amazing. That is a top of the scale sort of output. But when you also allow 1.5 homers with it,
Yeah.
you still have a 4.56 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. So he's been frustrating, still more good than bad, but the rough Flaherty can be really tough to watch. As a Tigers fan, I say that. And I wonder, are we still kind of setting and forgetting him in 15s and 12s?
I mean, I think you have to for this set of matchups, right? Like you're going to the White Sox, who, like, yes, their team is young and interesting, but it's still not good.
You don't
And
run
then,
away from them. Yeah.
And then Minnesota, what do they have left at this point? Like, it's just
nobody.
Like, they traded everybody away. At least
and then took 2 or 3 from the Tigers, by the way. I should point out.
I know that was sad for you, at least. So, like, I think both these matchups, you're playing both these guys, right? You're playing Flaherty, you're playing
Paddock.
Yep. Because the matchups are so good. One of the, a few years ago, and I think I've mentioned this a few times before on the pod, but a few years ago at First Pitch Arizona, which you can sign up for now, and you and I will both be going to.
Heck yeah, we
will. I had a streaming pitching panel with guys way smarter than me. I believe it was Eric Smolsky and Derek Carty, and we did all our research and stuff before getting there, and all independently pretty much said, like, the number one thing you're looking for streaming is the matchups.
It's got to be that matchup. Yep.
It's got to, the better the matchup, the better chance you have at streaming. These are two great matchups, and I think you're using both these guys for both these games in all formats.
Yeah, I think I'm totally there. Maybe you don't have to start Paddock in a 10. I'm really rooting for him, and he had a great first start and then a tougher second one. Still doesn't have great strikeouts, so I could see skipping in a 10. But I think Flaherty, you just got to go with him everywhere. Like, the talent is still there, and Flaherty is that type of guy that when you put him on the roster, that's when it's going to be 7 innings of one hit ball with 10 Ks on your bench. Yeah. So yes, Flaherty everywhere. Paddock 12s and deeper. Let's go to the guy I mentioned that we haven't talked about in forever because he's been hurt. Christian Javier's working his way back. Now, you're probably out on starting him off the IL with 2 years off, has it been? He gets Boston and Baltimore both at home. Again, I'm not sure that any of that matters. I'm just curious if you're interested in picking him up. It hasn't been 2 years off. He did have 35 innings last year. But Christian Javier returning, do you have any excitement down the stretch here?
I mean, you don't have to sugarcoat it. Like, it's 2 years off. He had 35 innings.
Yeah, okay. It is essentially 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, no, I'm not starting him. I mean, you look at what he's done so far in his minor league rehab work, and it is indicative of a guy coming off of Tommy John,
right?
Which is a massive struggle with control. He has 14 innings this year in the minor leagues, from as low as complex league all the way up to the last 3 starts in AAA. 14 innings. How many walks do you think he has?
12.
15.
I was gonna guess more than the innings count. Yeah, so that's done with Javier.
He hasn't given up a home run, which is great because homers have always been his problem.
That is nice, but I would go so far as to
change.
I'd go so far as to say, don't even bid.
It's not even AL only at this point,
right? Like, don't even bid. Like, next year with Javier. Yes. Next year. Let me ask you a little quick detour here. Yuri Perez is kind of muddying up the water of our concern of TJ returners, right? He's kind of been the exception. He's amazing. 3.25 ERA, 101 WHIP, now in 55 innings, pitching beautifully down the stretch. Did have his blip outing because even he, pitching very well last time out, actually just yesterday, five runs and 5 1/3. Is anything Yuri Perez doing making you reassess your TJ returners? Do the high end ones? Okay, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to check in on that.
No, you just don't know. Like, and it is not worth what you have to invest in terms of either draft capital or fab capital,
right?
In order to risk it. Like, if I'm investing, $200 in fab or a top 10 draft pick, like, I'm passing up on a lot of good options in order to take that risk. And yes, some may pan out. The underlying or the overall numbers on Strider may pan out this year. But I don't think that changes the thought process in terms of it being right.
Still exceptions as opposed to the changing of the rule was what you're saying. And I agree. I think I'm still going to be cautious. I got Yuri wrong. That's fine.
It's all about the cost associated with the pick. You know, if you like, there's going to be one that I took this year that some people are going to be like, well, you know, you're a hypocrite. You drafted Lucas Giolito in a bunch of places. I got him in the 29th or 30th round. Like, that's like if it doesn't work out, okay, the other guy I might have taken might have been garbage. It was probably going to be garbage too.
Exactly. And Strider's the maximum extreme of that because he was going in the top 40, top 50.
Yeah.
And that's what it becomes really tough because even Yuri Perez wasn't that sort of expenditure. He was a big fab expenditure, but even to me, $300 a fab is nowhere near a top 8 round pick, let alone top 3 or 4 round, which is what Strider was doing. So yeah, I'm totally with you. The cost really, and it probably goes without saying, but just to reiterate for folks, the cost is what really matters. And so when you're speculating on Giolito late, that is nowhere near the same as taking, you know, even an 10th, 12th round pick on Yuri Perez. Even that is a fundamental difference. So no, I'm 100% with you there. Just a quick detour there from Javier to Perez. No looks at Javier this year. If he does well, I'll tip my cap, but I'm revisiting next year.
I'll be watching.
I'll be watching for sure. Bailey Falter's with KC. And he gets a double home dip. Washington and the White Sox, pretty good setup here. Do we like Falter as a streamer in spots?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a pretty good match or set of matchups here, where you're getting Washington, who's been kind of an up and down offensive team, but nothing you're running away from, and you're getting a White Sox team that is not good offensively. Falter is another one of these kind of low ceiling guys, though. We're talking about a 15% strikeout rate, which is absolutely 15. You know,
Jesus, dude.
And I'm barely rounding down. It's 15.1%.
That is
his K per 9 is 5.52. So
and here's the thing: what that does, sorry to interrupt you, is that creates the higher potential for the meltdown, right? That doesn't mean he can't be good. And in fact, I'll point out that a 16 start run from May through July for Falter saw him post a 2.93 ERA. But his first start with the Royals was 7 earned at Fenway. And so that took the ERA from 2.93 to 3.52. Like one bad start. And that's the problem with these low K guys is their duds are horrendous. That said, I do like this 2-step.
And especially when you're talking about a guy like Falter, who isn't known for going deep into games. It's not like he's prime Miles Mikolas, where Mikolas, hey, I'm going to get 7 really good innings. I'm only going to get 3 strikeouts, but I'm going to get 7 really good innings. And he's really going to help my ratios here. Falter very often does not go deep enough in games to win. And
he's not even 5 and dime. He's a 4-inning guy in a lot of cases for Falter.
Over the course of his last 7 starts, Bailey Falter has failed to get to 5 innings 4 of those 7 starts. So you don't have strikeout upside. You really don't have a ton of win upside, but these matchups are good enough where I think you take the gamble in deeper leagues. 10s and 12s, you should not have Falter.
You shouldn't need to.
Yeah.
You know, not if you're actually competing. A little bit of a mean thing to say, but if you're starting Falter in a 10 or 12, you're waving your own sort of white flag at that point. Let's just be honest. All right, let's keep moving on then. Jose Soriano. I know we talk about him a lot. He's the guy that I always want to take off this list because I like him so much, but I can't because it's just not there in terms of his skills. He gets the Dodgers and then a trip to the Athletics. Jose Soriano is it same old that we see all year where it's appealing stuff, but not enough strikeouts, too inconsistent. And so it's going to be a standard risky stream with Soriano, or do you even start him next week?
I mean, you've got the Dodgers and you're going to Sacramento for the Athletics. So
you don't love that. Now, the one thing I will say about that, he doesn't allow homers. That is Soriano's key trait is homer suppression.
Yeah, I know. But what he does allow is just a crap ton of contact. And it's so hard because I look at the profile and I look at especially the numbers and you go, man, the underlying numbers are so damn good. Like this is like there is a lot in this arm to really like, but at what
He's
point is he
just
just
mimicking Dustin May.
I
He's
was
just
literally
mimicking
about to
Dustin May.
say, like, at what point do we just finally go, he is Dustin May?
That's exactly what it
And
is right now with Jose Soriano, and I love him. I really, really do.
uh,
Nick
I,
put me on him a
I
few years
will
ago.
I will say Boston has already changed the pitch mix for Dustin May. And I'm like,
I,
okay.
I would
I
love if they unlock him. That'd be great. But then we're left wondering, can Soriano get out of LA? Because we know that they're just going to kind of
yeah.
keep letting him
Well,
do what he's doing.
and for Dustin May, like, isn't he a free agent at the end of the year? So it's like,
Yes, but if they fix him and they could re-sign him, I could see a
they could,
situation where it's like, hey, you learned all this with us. Why don't you re-up with us and stick around? So yeah, if they end up getting results out of May, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him. But yeah, Soriano is just
you
another
just can't.
Dustin May.
I can't earlier in this episode go, oh, the matchups are the most important thing, and then we got a guy who's pitched mediocre at best this year going up against terrible like environments and stuff.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, no, I want Soriano now. Like, I think Soriano is what like put the nail in the coffin of my main event team too. So I'm a little bitter right now.
I rode him in some spots where that 140 whip just kept bludgeoning, and it was a classic one of the ERA until recently went back up over 4, but it was that one where you're getting fooled by a decent 3-something ERA and not realizing that whip is just absolutely slamming you every time out with Sorry. So yeah, he's a no-go for me. Maybe even a cut at this point and just let somebody else kind of, you almost put him out there as like a bomb. Let somebody else pick them up thinking that they're getting something and they can take the 140 whip every time. This guy, man, I know our favorite analogy is Lucy kicking the football, Charlie Brown style. Jansen Junk. And I don't want to overdo it because the Lucy kicking the football thing is supposed to be long over time. I'm new to the Jansen Junk thing, but I feel like every time I want to get in, I see, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 starts at really good numbers. Oh, he's putting up some really decent stuff here. And then every time I want to get in, he gets smoked. So I don't know what to do with Jansen Junk. He's got at Cleveland and at Boston. So one good, one bad, both on the road. He's got some good metrics. Miami's playing better. He's 6-2 with a 397, 112 whip. He's the opposite of Soriano. He's helping your whip. Is Jansen Junk doing anything worthwhile that would make you start him?
No, because his profile is very similar to Soriano in terms of the amount of contact he allows. He pitches a contact. He's not going to get strikeouts. He pitches to contact. And I don't.
He doesn't walk anyone. That's why his whip is so much better than Sori's, though, I should point out.
But I mean, we're talking about a guy who has an 88% zone contact, which is well above league average. But that is the lowest zone contact of his career. This is the first time his zone contact has been below 91% in the major leagues. Like he intentionally pitches to contact, and that leads to a lot of, or not a lot, but a fair amount of blow up outings. And
right.
As much as the ERA looks, pretty decent at, 3.97, like this is one of those guys that could just have a hit parade, kind of show up in an outing. And so, and the strikeouts, the lack of strikeouts are killer, man. He's got a 17.5% K rate this year. And while he doesn't walk any guys, like you mentioned, only a 3% walk rate this year, the lack of strikeouts and the amount of contact he allows, I just don't think is worth the gamble, especially in 12s and 10s. But in 15s, I might be looking a different direction unless I really just need ratio stabilization.
I think if I need ratio stabilization with a win potential, way better win potential than we would have thought for Miami coming into the year, I can still get to Junk in some spots.
Yeah. But Miami's good, man. They're almost a 500 team. Like
they're in the mix. Like they're in the playoff mix right now, as they should be. And credit to them playing well. And credit to our PJ, a listener and longtime Twitch member on my Twitch channel and part of the fantasy community, always chatting in different channels. Big time Marlins fan. He was on his boys early. And, I was like, oh, you're being a homer, this, that. But no, he was right. He's like, we got some sneaky offense that can get better. And I was like, offense. No, pitching is going to be your best chance. Nope. The offense has been sneaky solid. And like you said, they're 2 games under. So junk in 15s for me, but everywhere else, I agree with you. I'd probably be looking elsewhere. Speaking of guys that are pissing me off and rug pulling me, man, I'm not moving off of Zebediah yet. And I know it's Zebulon. But Zebby Matthews, I still just love the talent. But he is frustrating because he's another one of these guys where it's like he's got the talent and the fancy metrics. It's a little bit of like he's like an unproven Flaherty. Flaherty has a track record that you can believe in, so you can buy into him more. Zebby's got legitimately great skills. He's actually got a 23% strikeout minus walk, but 5.17 ERA, 138 WHIP. What the hell's going on with Zebby? And are you starting him at the Yankees and home to Detroit? That is a hell of a 2-step.
So have we ever seen Zebby Matthews and Dylan Cease in the same spot? Because
he just rips off the mustache and then he becomes Zebby.
Yeah, because like it's hard because you look at the strikeout potential on Zebby Matthews, and he's just unreal upside. Like 29% K rate, only a 6% walk rate this year. The walks and homers have not really been the issue.
The homers especially, right? Because he was fitting that Minnesota mold of being a home run guy. And Zebby has really curbed the homers, at least in his 8 starts so far.
Over the course of his last 5 starts, he's given up 2 home runs total. That's it. The problem is he just makes really poor decisions in terms of where he places the ball within the zone. So, well, he has not necessarily had a bad home run rate. He has had bad command. And I think often we go, well, good command or bad command means, bad, bad homer problem, or good command means a good homer, rate. That's not the case all the time. It's really about how you can locate within that zone. And Zebby just makes mistakes. And I don't know if it's a young pitching thing. I don't know if it's a sequencing thing. Maybe he needs to get just on a better in a better spot with his catcher. But it's really frustrating because this is the epitome of like the high risk, high reward cherry bomb that he could go out there and absolutely shove. Like 2 of his last 3 starts have been really, really good, but you got the one blow up in between against Boston, and that ruins the line. So
to that end, though, do you ever get him out of the lineup because the upside is so rich? I still find myself starting Zebby everywhere.
So if this was April or May, I'd say no. But at this point of the season, it's what your team needs. So if
that's true. We do have to be more cautious. Yep.
If your team just needs strikeouts and wins, go for it, right? You're going to take that gamble. If your team has got ratio problems,
you got to be more
thoughtful here. You really can't. Like he's got a 5.17 ERA. So is that correct? Yeah, 5.17 ERA.
This 138 WHIP too. Like it's
if your ERA or WHIP are in a problem spot, or like you're really, really bunched, and like we said earlier, ratios can move right now. Like I don't think you can start Zebby anywhere.
I'm not that strident, but I am the same caution. Homers, wins and strikeouts, easy start anywhere. Ratios being tight, you have to be more thoughtful with it. I still could maybe get there though, because this is a classic trust skills over results with Zebby. I do like that you point out that just because the home run rate is down to 0.9 doesn't mean that he's fixed his command issue. I would say that a lot of his home run suppression has been a halving of his homer to fly ball rate, which is unlikely to remain. Yep. So I do think the homers can come back. I love the talent. So
I know you love the talent, and I'd say most weeks, you're doing it, but not this week. Not with these 2 matchups.
That's okay. You know what? You sold me with the matchups because it is a trip to Yankee Stadium and then hosting Detroit. Yeah. If you need ratio help, don't start Zebby. Be careful. But I will say you can hold without starting a 2-step. Because we do have that rule of like, hey, if you're not starting a 2-step, are you sure you need this guy on your roster? I would still hold him, but maybe not start if you need ratio help. Okay, you've sold me on that. I'm with you for Zebby. Let's go to Clay Matthews. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Last point. Absolutely. Just a reminder. If you wear one this week, there's a lot less time to work it off. Like this is at that point. Like remember, like at the beginning of the season, like all of us.
That's the problem.
Like, if you had Jose Barrios or Bailey Ober on your team at the start of the season when they had their first blowups, you were like, oh great, my team has like an 8 ERA, and it took you like 4 weeks to like work that stuff off. You barely have that time left in the season to work off a
Right.
massive
And
blow up.
that is a great point, and I talk about why I am more open to streamers early in the season, because I have more time to fix it. Now, some of that is my hubris of thinking that I can fix it with that time, but I am more open to those risks early on. And you're right, you do have to tighten up down the stretch here because there's only X number of weeks to figure it out, and the waiver pools are shittier. At least in my experience, like the talent is going down. Now, with football starting, they could trickle up a little bit with fewer people paying attention, but for the bulk of it, you need to expect that the talent pool will be worse on the waiver. So that's a great point there. Let's be careful with Zebby out there. I got to bring up Clay Matthews here and see how you feel, because I got the timestamp on you on that one. The name value is there. And in fact, even the results are pretty strong. But I think when we dig a little deeper, we have to be a little bit cautious. This is your classic, 3.46 ERA. I'm automatically keeping Clay Holmes in my lineup. But it's a 130 whip, 130, and just 97 Ks, which is a good 19% strikeout rate, which when I say good, I'm being sarcastic. Of course, that's terrible. 9 wins. So wins and ERA, yes, but whip and strikeouts aren't there with Clay Holmes. Is he as set it and forget it as a lot of people are trusting him to be?
I mean, I don't think so, especially because you look at kind of what Clay Holmes has done over the course of his last 12 starts. And that includes a fair amount of good ones. It's a 3.92 ERA, which is, fine. But a 135 whip and a 15% strikeout rate. I mean,
so it's even worse than what we were talking about, because now the ERA, you're talking about last 12 for Clay Holmes. ERA is worse, and strikeouts are even. Excuse me, I'm burping all over the place. And strikeouts are even worse in this time period. So what's going on? I have a question though. Is this just the first season as a starter catching up to him? Is he wearing down?
I think it is. I think that's exactly what it is. And I think, next year we're going to look at him and go, okay, he's got a full year of, 150 innings under his belt, and we'll be in a little bit better spot. But I do think this is a guy who's just wearing down as the season goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, over those last 12 starts, I think he only has 3 starts with 5 strikeouts or more.
And to that point, in the last 3, 6, 9, 10, in the last 10 outings, he hasn't gone more than 5 1/3.
Yeah. And so
so he can get you to your 5, and that's why Clay Holmes has some decent wins at 9, but he's wearing down.
Yeah. And
sorry, you were a little choppy there, so I think we were.
He's actively
your signal was a little weird, so I think we were talking over each other.
Yeah, I was just saying he's actively hurting your whip. Like, it's just, I don't know that you can start Clay Holmes.
So I think you need to be very careful here. And again, team context is driving everything. If you need wins, and even ERA, I think, you can feel pretty decent with. But if that whip category is tight, or your strikeouts, I don't know that you love Clay Holmes here. Atlanta, Seattle, I should mention, both at home. I didn't even mention the lineup there. 15s, I don't see how you get them out of the lineup, right? There's just not enough pitching talent to go around. I think it's the 10s and 12s where you need to be careful with Clay Holmes. Let's stay in New York and go to another compelling but kind of nerve-wracking guy to start all the time, and that's Will Warren, a guy I do really like for his overall talent. But then I look up and I see a 4.44 ERA and a 1.42 whip, and I'm like, oh, this guy been hammering me a little bit with my kind of set it and forget it attitude on him. Where are we on Will Warren? He took a little bit of a beating in Atlanta right out of the All-Star break, but he's rebounded with 3 gems since then. Are we trusting Will Warren down the stretch here?
It's the walks, man. Like, the walks have just been an absolute disaster for him. It's the reason why his whip's so high. The stuff is really, really good. He just cannot control it enough to be consistent. These are 2 decent matchups, though. Like, you're talking about a Minnesota team that is pretty beat up, or beat up and traded everybody away, and the St. Louis team you're not really afraid of. So if you're trying to protect your whip, I'm probably not doing this. But if you need strikeouts and you need wins, like, Will Warren's got a ton of upside in that regard.
Yep, I think that's where you're starting him again. Strikeouts, wins potential for Will Warren again. Minnesota and at St. Louis. I didn't mention those. Sorry. I really like him, and I do really like him for the future too. So if you're talking about dynasty keeper situations, I do still think Will Warren can hopefully just get like a grade better on the control. He doesn't have to become Mr. Control Artist, but if he's walking 3.5 per nine or fewer, which is still a pretty decent number, but if he's down there, then I think he can be a stud. But 10, 11% walk rates, I know I'm switching between per nines and percentages now, but he has a 4.2 per nine, which translates to an 11% walk rate right now. We need that at like 3.5, which will be more like an 8% walk rate. That we can live with Will Warren. Aaron Nola is returning, so this is an off the IL situation. Obviously, Nola, even with his issues, is generally a set it and forget it, but coming off the IL is a different scenario. I know team context is going to play a big role. He's also been bad in 9 starts this year. So are you getting Nola back in anywhere, or are you taking the 2 starts to kind of see where it goes, and then you go from there? It's at Cincy and at Washington for Nola.
Yeah, I'm taking this 2-step and I'm just watching, right? If Aaron Nola is available on my wire, I'm picking him up because he's Aaron Nola.
Right. Full agree.
Over the course of his 2 rehab starts, he's gone 3 innings and 3 2/3. He's not going deep enough to win. Out. Yeah, and we've seen what he looked like earlier on in the season when he was really struggling to hit his spots and getting beat up all over the yard. Like, you don't want to take a 3-inning start with 6 earned runs. So you're picking him up, you're holding him, but you are not starting Aaron Nola this week.
Fully agree. Again, just sit tight, see what the 2 look like, and then reconvene with him. You do not want to get caught up in the mix there, especially at Cincy. They could pop off on him. Andrew Heaney, our boy, we talked about this in the concept of Shane Smith earlier in the year, where it's like, when do you let go of your late gem who delivered some value? Like, do you let him give all the value back with bad starts? Heaney has been the veteran version of that, right? We talked him up when he signed with Pittsburgh saying, hey, this is a spot that should help his biggest issue, which is home runs. He opens the season at Miami, which at the time was an easy start, and he panned out as such. But down the stretch here, things have been a bit rough. He has three 7 earned run outings over his last 7 that have just completely trounced his numbers. Through 14 starts, your boy Andrew Heaney had a 3.33 ERA. Pretty damn good. Since then, in 9 starts, 785. And it is those 3 ugly starts that are doing a lot of the damage. He's gone 4 2/3 and 3 1/3 in the last 2 outings. There's still a lot of good starts dotted over his 23 on the year, but is there any world where you're starting Andrew Heaney at Milwaukee and at the Cubs?
No, he's had 1 start where he's gone 5 innings in his last 6.
Jesus. It was a good one. The Arizona start, right? I watched that one. Yep.
That's it, though. And we're not talking about like world beater teams. Kansas City, Minnesota.
No.
The White Sox, the Rockies, the Giants. Like, these are not offenses you are afraid of that are beating him up, and he's not allowing him to go 5 innings. So, no, there's no world in which I'm starting Andrew Heaney. I feel vindicated, though, because at the beginning of the season, I was really worried that this was finally going to be the Andrew Heaney breakout.
Right.
And I was going to have no shares because I finally, washed my hands of my boy.
You were right.
But I knew in my heart, like, Andrew Heaney will return and Charlie Brown will be sitting on his ass after trying to kick the Andrew Heaney football.
And he fell through the earth on this one because he really thought he was kicking a 70-yard field goal. 2.91 ERA through 10 starts for Heaney. Like, he was dialed early, and the home runs were in check since that point now. So the last 13 starts, he's allowed 17 homers in 59 in the 30. It all came back. So unlike Smith, who you could probably get away from and still have garnered some goodness from Shane Smith, Heaney probably erased most of the goodness that he did for folks.
If you didn't drop him very, very quickly, you ate it.
Let me see who the 7s were against. Could you have avoided those? So he faced, it was Detroit and Milwaukee back-to-back, both on the road. You could have easily avoided those. Mm-hmm. The Chicago White Sox one, most people probably wore that one for Heaney. But yeah, we're not starting him anywhere. Let's go to you, Darvish, who gets a little divisional two-step here, going to the Giants, to the Dodgers. Do we like anything for you, Darvish?
Oh, I mean, you don't love that back end matchup, but maybe you get lucky and that's the one that gets skipped.
Yeah, let's move that around. And also, I should still point out, the Dodgers have not fully emerged from their funk. So if you're looking at like last 30 data or even last 60, they're not as imposing. I'm not saying it's an easy matchup, but their results have not been there lately for the Dodgers.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all hard to know what you're going to get from Darvish start to start. And you don't even know if you're going to get depth because, this is a team that really has just like, I don't understand what they're doing. Like, this is a team that should be so much better than they are.
You're talking about the Padres, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they should, you look at their team on paper and you go, this is a top 3 team in baseball.
For sure.
Especially you add in Mason Miller into what is, ostensibly like their only weak spot was that bullpen a little bit. And they still can't seem to figure it out. But if he goes 5, he's going to have an opportunity to win a game because I do think the Padres are, like I said, better than they've played necessarily. The problem is the blow-ups, man. He had that one start against St. Louis that absolutely torched your season. It wasn't even torched,
ruined anything good.
It was, that one is brutal, and that just sticks in your mind with a guy like you, Darvish.
But I should point out, Darvish, 3 1/3, 8 earned on 8 hits, 2 walks, so 10 base runners. Immediately bounced back with 7 scoreless 2-hit ball against the Mets. So it's
then he looks like
what
you, Darvish.
Getting?
Yeah, but I think the problem too is you're just not guaranteed a good strikeout rate in the way that you were used to with a guy like you, Darvish.
Right.
This year, Darvish has a 19% strikeout rate. That is not what you expect. He has a 134 whip. So I think this is a deeper league play only, especially with the Dodgers on the docket for Darvish.
Yep.
And even that, I feel like we've talked about some names that I might rather have this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, where I really like Darvish, it's a pretty niche situation, but it's those teams that are sitting in the 6th through 9th range, and they're really trying to hit a YOLO somewhere.
Yeah.
I say maybe, you go for Darvish, right? If you're really chasing pitching and you need just a lot of things to come through to really be able to hit the money, go for Darvish. It's not the most fundamentally sound move, but you're trying to spike something, and that's where you can maybe spike it.
You know what? We're not very fundamentally sound. So that's fine.
Right. Sometimes we break fundamentals to do something cute and fun. And starting Darvish is cute and fun. You mentioned this guy's name earlier, Miles Michaelis. Here he is, not as peak Michaelis you were referencing back in the day when he was, a steady asset. He was
we say back in the day. It was 3 years ago.
I know. All the way back in 2022, that ancient year when he put up a 3.29 ERA, 103 WHIP as an All-Star. Nice season.
Yeah.
He's not that guy anymore. 5.11, 132 on the ERA WHIP combo this year. Colorado and the Yankees both at home. Nope. Is the fact that it's 2 homes, can that get you anywhere?
I mean, Colorado, this is one of these situations where I go Colorado coming to town. Yes.
And Michaelis has a firm home road split, 367, 109 at home, 647, 153 on the road.
The Yankee one scares the crap out of you, though.
Terrifying, dude. It could ruin all of the good stuff from the first start, right? He could go 7 scoreless against Colorado and still have a disaster streak because we know the Yankees could drop 7 on him.
Yeah.
That said, I think in 15s, it's on the table. I'm not starting Michaelis. I'm not dying to, but it's on the table in 15s. That's all I'm saying.
I think you're right in terms of, especially because the Yankees start is scheduled for Sunday.
Please cancel it. Just give me the Colorado.
You're just praying for rain, right?
Or a prospect to come up. Let some sort of prospect come up and move everyone back.
They've already got a 6-man rotation. They already brought up McGreevy, so I don't know that they're going to.
So if they're already doing 6, okay.
That's why it's on Sunday instead of Saturday.
Yeah. Well, then that just means, I don't know.
Pray for rain. Pray for rain.
What's Quinn Matthews up to these days? He can't come up and catch a spot start?
I don't think Quinn Matthews is on the 40-man. I don't think they're going to add him at this point in the season.
Nah, you're right then if he's not there. What's I'm trying to find a name, any name. No, you're right. There's nobody on the 40.
I think he's Anybody in the Midwest, like, is it going to rain at any point this week? Because if it is, then I'm starting Michaelis. If not, I'm probably
Yeah, and then goes without saying, their daily leagues get that Colorado start
yeah.
and avoid the Yankee start like the plague. All right, let's talk about the two Nats here. Cade Cavalli, Mitchell Parker. Cade Cavalli used to be a one-time prospect of some acclaim. Still young enough to make some noise, but doesn't have the prospect acclaim that he used to anymore at age 26. And then Mitchell Parker, who kind of sneaky broke out last year, but he's been really up and down this year. Started decently, but he's been pretty rough for the bulk of it. They're going to Kansas City and then hosting Philly. I like Cavalli more than Parker, but I don't have much for either here.
No, yeah, I don't think I'm not with Philadelphia on the docket. Like, if it was just the Royals, like I would be like, oh, Royals, White Sox, yeah, great. Philly, oh man.
Do you have a preference between these two? Is it Cavalli as well, or are you
no, it's Parker?
Or you don't have you like Parker more than Cavalli?
For this year, for sure. Just because I don't trust that Cavalli's going to go deep enough into a game to win it.
True. He's a prospect, having come up, from pitching poorly in AAA. We just don't know what they're going to do with him.
I mean, you may get some strikeouts from Cavalli, like he first start, 4 1/3,
6 punches,
6 strikeouts, and he had a strikeout rate in the minor leagues that was 25%. So like you could get some strikeouts, but I just don't know that there isn't much win potential here, and there's a lot of blow up potential, especially with the Phillies on the docket. And can I just say how much I love Kyle Schwarber? Like,
yes, you can say he's so good at baseball, and I love it.
Everybody told me when I drafted him everywhere this year, like, oh, you're going to regret that pick. He's going to hit 200. This is why you draft these kind of punt batting average 250s, because all it takes is some good BABIP luck and, just having a good year. Like, he's not even having good BABIP luck. He has a 276 BABIP, but and all of a sudden, like, that guy who you had projected to hit 220 or 215, hitting 256 means you are winning your average category.
Like 40, 50 extra points. Yeah, because when you draft a Schwarber, you are planning for the bad average, right? So the rest of your draft is, you're going to get some supplemental batting average. Maybe you go for a Jacob Wilson or that type of vibe earlier to cover, right? So you did that. You had some protection for him, and he hit 256. So now you're in a great spot.
I am the punt batting average guy, right?
Yes.
I'm the guy that, screams from the rooftop, especially in your stand-alone leagues, like the punt batting average. And this is why, because in just about every league, I plan to be, bottom half of my league in batting average. I'm winning batting average in almost every single one of my leagues because I drafted guys like this that pop, and all of a sudden, I'm crushing that. So
now let's be clear. When you're saying this, you're drafting these guys that are great everywhere else, but average is their flaw, and you're trying to spike 250s, 260s from them, as opposed to the 210, 220 that people are afraid of.
You're projecting the 210. Like, this isn't
right. You're still drafting with the bad
projection. My projection on Schwarber was like 239 or something like that, right? So, like, I wasn't projecting him to do this, but when he does do this, all of a sudden, my team is in a great spot, right?
Exactly, and that's the key. And I remember the name that always sticks out to me with this for you was Will Myers. You used to love Will Myers, and he could spike a decent average, but he had some average issues. And you're like, you know what? I'll take the 230s, 240s, and then he'll randomly, like he did in the 2020, and it was only not really a full season, but for those 2 months, he hit 288. He spiked a couple random 250s. So he was one of those guys there that, like, he had the core skills with the power and the speed Will Myers did, that if you just could take the batting average, you might spike a gem there. And Schwarber's the best example of that because the power is a certified lock. He's even a sneaky steals guy. He has 10 on the year again this year. This is his second season of 10 steals. He leads baseball with 94 ribbies. Is he still leading off, by the way?
I think so, yeah.
Is he leading baseball in ribbies?
Oh, no, he's in second most.
That's still impressive, by the way. It's 3-4 where the the RBI numbers are. But the fact that he's doing that from the
Phillies team. I picked him to win the World Series.
Yeah,
Like
I like your pick. I think they're
this,
going to be.
I think it's gonna be a really fun playoffs. Like, you know, and
I
I know we're
can't wait.
still like a month and a half away, but like it's gonna be a really, really fun playoff.
If you had to vote for the NL side right now, and I said, don't vote for Skeens for some reason. Let's just pretend I'm banning you from it. And I'm saying you got to vote for a Philly. You go Wheeler or Sanchez because I think they're neck and neck.
I think you have to go. No, I don't think you have to go either way. It is a toss up. Like their Fangraphs war is like 0.1 away from each other.
Am I a total loser? And this is loser
because Sanchez didn't make the All-Star game. You want to win the. I honestly, I had the same initial thought, which was like, yeah. I mean, I think I'm barely giving it to Wheeler.
I can do another loser argument for Wheeler. This loser argument is, well, he's been so close to a Cy, he finally deserves one. And I wouldn't say give him one with like a 3.20 ERA and a 1.15 WHIP because he's deserved it. He's putting up another Cy Young season. He's had several before. That when I say he's kind of deserving it, like this is another one that has a chance to finish second. Maybe it is time for him to get his. He's 35 years old. So I think, is it super lame for the tiebreaker to be, well, he's 35. Is we got to give him one. Like, again, I don't want to pretend he's not earning it. We're not giving Zach Wheeler a handout.
It's a fun conversation because neither of these guys are going to win.
No, it's going to be Skeens. You have to create a silly hypothetical to even get to them because it's going to be Skeens. And it should be, by the way. I have no problem with that. I've never been you have to be on a good team to win an individual award because guess what? That's
the old heads are starting to die off a little bit.
Right. Because that was a stupid.
Yeah,
make an individual award, a team award.
Wins, are the reason why guys should win awards, right?
Insane, right? Like, you just make it a team award then. Do some other sort of team award.
Shouldn't hold it against Paul Skeens that his team doesn't want to win.
That he's 7-8 with a 1.94 ERA.
It's been unreal.
Jesus, dude. All right, let's get going. We'll wrap it up here. Are you and Jason getting together this weekend?
We should be.
Fantastic. Well, you guys have a good one. You and I'll be back next week. Joe had to go to a funeral, and you were sick yesterday. That's why we didn't do it Thursday.
Yeah, don't eat fair food. Just don't
guys,
do it.
You know what you're getting into eating fair food. Justin took the plunge, and he was on his ass for the day yesterday. But we'll be back next week talking more baseball. Justin, have a good one.
Take it easy.